the voice in your ears and the face on your screen. I'm Perfect Purvis. This is Pro Football Sweden, presented to you by Rare Athletics. Joining me today are my co-hosts, Jallo Juice and Antoine Allen. What's going on, Jallo?
Not much, man. I'm blessed again every week, and I'm excited again to talk more football in Sweden.
What about you, Antoine? What's up, man?
Hey man, everything's going good. Happy to be here again with you guys and talk about this first week of football in Sweden. It's crazy, crazy, crazy.
All right. So, thanks to our partners at American Football in Finland, Improved Athletes, and Pro Football Sweden, the PFF podcast is available everywhere you get your podcast. You can also watch us visually here on the YouTube channel. Wherever you listen, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Let's get into some football, fellas. All right, it's 1st and 10. This is where we kind of take a moment to get outside of football if we can and talk about what's going on in our lives. Jallo Juice, I'll leave it to you first, man. What's going on with you?
I just want to shout out to my team here in Spain. We finished the season 8-0, perfect record. We are also the Eastern Conference champions. Week off, then we going into the semifinals against the Black Demons. That's all I got for y'all this week.
What about you, Antoine?
Yeah, first let me say congratulations to Jallo and your team out there. We got one of your teammates on my team here in Karlstad at running back, Javi. But yeah, man, I'm just this is our opening week for the season, kicking off this weekend. So I'm just trying to take care of my body, rest up, and stay as calm as possible going into this opening week.
For me, all I can say is I'm glad I'm not you guys and I'm not physically, playing football because I don't want none of that. I want to talk. I would just throw this randomness out here. I'll put a little culture out here for you. Why did J. Cole recant the diss track? Like, I don't even understand it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then this part of the episode ain't for you, and that's fine. But I got to let you know. J. Cole, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, I get it, the big three. I liked when Drake and J. Cole put their little song out. And then when Kendrick came back and, he threw shots, ain't no big three, it's just big me. And I'm like, okay, I like it. And then J. Cole, came at him, told him your albums was trash, they was mid. Like, okay, a little beef on the top with the top ones in the game. I like that. I'm with that. And then this sucker, I'm sorry, I ain't never had nothing against J. Cole, but you a sucker for doing this. He goes and recants. He's like, I'm going to take the song down. I'm going to take it off the street. You can't do that, bro.
Yeah,
the song ain't for you no more. Like, once you put it out there, it ain't for you. It's for the culture. Like, if you apologize, you go to the man and you say, hey, man, I know I said some things, but, that was just something I had to get off my chest. I apologize. You do that. That's cool. I'm okay with that. You can squash the beef. But you can't take the song back. First of all, you ain't getting it back. The internet got it now. You're not taking the song down. That's not going to go away. Everybody got that now. But it's just crazy that in 2024, this is how we doing rap beefs. We doing the rap beefs and then we taking it back. And I just didn't expect it from him of all people. I've been listening to a couple of podcasts and, this type of stuff pops up. And so I just had to let the world know that, I lost a little bit of respect for J. Cole for that move. But not a lot. I'm still going to listen to his music and stuff. But, like.
Nah, yeah, I got some thoughts, man. Yeah, look, man. Like, J. Cole is like he's the type of artist that's not really out in the public. He minds his own business. Mm-hmm. He does his own thing. So I think when he said, like, it's really messing with my spirit and messing with, like, the way I conduct myself. Yeah, I understand that part. But, like you said, like, you can't take it back. Like, it's already out there. Like, you put it on your album. You put it on the last song on the album. That's the first song that everybody listens to. So it is what it is. Like, you can say you want to take it back all you want, and you can apologize all you want, but it's out there. It's heat. It's a good song. Everybody loves it. So it just is what it is at this point. It's just like if you got to yell at your best friend, you never want to really yell at your best friend, but you my best friend, so you should take it like this way. But like, still, like, I feel bad that I had to yell at like one of my best friends.
What about you, Jallo?
Emotional damage.
It's just like going through some things. But yeah, I guess we can start talking about football now. All right, this segment of our show, this is new. This is the first time we're doing it this year. It's called Inside the Numbers. It's brought to you by Rare Athletics Apparel and Accessories, made for players, by players. More than just accessories, Rare provides custom jerseys for teams all over Europe. So head on over to their web shop at rare.se and upgrade your drip today. First week of Super Serien was great to watch, but let's talk a little bit about the stats, guys. Here are some of the interesting numbers from the teams and players so far this season. Week one, a lot of points scored. Total offense, Tiriso. I think, can you see this on the back of my hoodie? Can you see it, Tiriso? I mean, Tiriso put up 402 yards of offense. Crazy, because everybody was, getting yards and putting up stats this weekend, but they put up 402 yards, 56 points, a 50 burger in week one. I loved it. Anything you guys want to say about, the top offense this week?
You said it all. They look like the top offense. Whenever you could put up over 400 yards of offense up on the team, and your quarterback throws like 5 touchdowns, then that speaks volumes in itself. And then they have a young rookie running back out there making waves and making moves out there. So they just look like a complete offensive, like a dominant offensive team.
I was extremely excited to see Tiriso offense be so well balanced, passing the ball, running the ball, but also just getting the ball into so many people's hands. We spoke about the offense being explosive, having playmakers, and they showed it. And they look really cute too. Their little motions, I was like,
really cute.
They got some little sprinkle. They look cute.
They look cute.
I almost shot my shot. Hey, I need a receiver.
Tiriso also was the number one rushing team. They had 148 yards. Passing, OBK actually was number one in passing this week. They had 324 passing. And then let's go on the defensive side. Total defense was the Mean Machines, holding OBK to 313 yards. And I want you to listen to the stats I said. Örebro had 324 yards passing. Stockholm held Örebro to 313 total yards. You see the discrepancy there? They had negative 11 yards rushing. That's what Stockholm did on the defensive side. And a lot of people saw these games and a lot of offense was playing, not a lot of defense. If you say that about Stockholm defense, you ain't watched the game. They made that other team one-dimensional, made them throw the ball 40 plus times, and then shut them out in the second half. If that ain't defense, I don't know what is. And then the one caveat is, they gave up 3 touchdowns. One of those touchdowns, the Black Knights only had to go 30 yards. They only had to go 30 yards after an interception. And then the rest of the game, they had to work hard for those 2 touchdowns they got, which all came in the first half. I mean, I don't think you really can play defense much better than that in a league where they're going to, have so many plays. Because if a team can throw the ball 40 times, that's a lot of time on the field. And that defense did really good. And that's why they were number one. Anything to add to my defensive rant? Sorry.
No, you hit it on the head. I mean, I let me just say this. I put it in our group chat, but I predicted that. I said on the pod last week, I was like, Örebro is going to score all 8 points in the first half, and then Stockholm is just going to look like a different team coming out defensively in the second half, and then they're not going to allow any points in the second half. So they did exactly what I said. I'm just saying. I know what I'm talking about a little
bit. True that. So moving on a little bit, let's talk about player performances. I'll go into the top passers from last week first. Number 1, Trevor Vasey from OBK threw for the 324 yards. Number 2, Jared Haywood from Tiriso threw for 245 yards. And the third leading passer was Matteo Renteria from Stockholm Mean Machines, who threw for 232 yards. Now, my initial assessment of the quarterback play in week 1 is, damn, we got some pretty good quarterbacks out here. Interestingly enough, we have some very athletic quarterbacks, but they all can throw. Everybody is pretty poised in the pocket, and it's really good quarterback play overall. And they're all able to get the ball to their playmakers. If you look at all their stats, they all put up 200-some yards passing, and at least 3 or 4 receivers have more than 4 or 5 catches. So like they're all spreading the ball out. It's not like, oh, they have one number one receiver and they're just feeding him. All these guys can read the field, read defenses, and they're making plays with their arms. So it's really good to see from a passing standpoint. You guys have got anything you want to add?
I want to say something. Would you say that they're all reading defenses, or would you say one quarterback in particular is getting out of the pocket and just finding somebody to throw the ball to?
Trevor Vasey was given lemons, and he made a real twangy tasting lemonade, if that makes any sense. Like it was good lemonade, but it wasn't like, oh man, I gotta have it lemonade. But you were like, damn, it's still lemonade. Because he did pretty good for a situation where he had no time. His line gave him nothing all day, and he's not even like a 6'1", 6'2" quarterback. He's a 6'4", 6'5" monster having to run. He's having to run. He probably lost like 5 or 6 kilos in that game, just pure athleticism, and he was out there doing it. Like I know that they didn't score in the second half, but he kept them, like he gave them an opportunity most of that game. If their defense would have had a couple of stops, they might have been in a better position to actually score instead of having to drive the whole field. And then when I think about Haywood from TSO, okay, he had an easy day, but he was flexing on them. Like he got the ball out to everybody when he needed to. He was reading the defense. And then a couple times he was just like, you know what? I'm going to throw this deep. So y'all know I can throw it deep. And he did it. And it was on the money. So he like showed that, hey, I could do this if I needed to. I just don't need to in this game. And then when I go back to number 3, Mateo Renteria, look, he didn't have to do much. But when he did something, he made it look good. A lot of his throws were very accurate, pinpoint. Yeah. He was slicing that defense up because OBK defense was pretty good. It was always in position, but his throws were on point every time. And his receivers, the best ones in the game, they catching everything he's throwing. And then he did a little flex too and showed that he can run with the ball, dove at the pylon. I don't know why he did that. That's crazy. But, him and Jared had similar games where they didn't really have to do that much, but they did more. While Trevor, he had to do a lot, and it still wasn't enough. They were playing against different defenses, but I was impressed by everybody. And I didn't talk about the fourth quarterback from the Vikings just because I don't want to do that right now, but we'll talk about him later.
Now, but I was very impressed with all the quarterbacks, to be honest. I mentioned something about, it's obvious, Vasey, getting out of the pocket. Because Stockholm does have a dominant D-line. As you saw, Erbu could not run the ball. They had negative yards. I mean, probably some came from sacks and things like that. But all the quarterbacks, perform well. One quarterback that's stepping up the most is Jay. I'm going to say it right now. At the moment, we haven't seen all the other teams play, but Jay Hansdale looks like the best quarterback in the league at the moment, just going off of week 1. Yeah. But, that was week 1. We can say that maybe Oslo isn't so good. His first pass was just boom, bullet, nice, going across the middle of the field. Stockholm, Mateo, I'm saying his name right, Mateo?
Yeah.
Mateo, I think it's Mateo. He looks good as well, The hard thing is for him is that he's following Papas, you know what I mean? Like, he still look good, you can't take the credit away from him. I was impressed that he was able to run the ball. He looks pretty quick. It's his first year that he still got to get the chemistry. I know Jay has a bit of an advantage because he was already in Stockholm before all the other quarterbacks probably were with their teams. So that's why I think Jay had the chemistry. Even the commentators, shout out to the commentators as well, for especially the Oslo game. They did a really good job keeping it exciting in Stockholm when he was by himself. But the commentator even mentioned, like, man, they looked like they had chemistry, on the football field, like they've been playing with each other for a very long time. Little do you know that, Jay's already been there a bit, getting his work in with the guys. So it's good that they're able to do that, getting work in preseason.
So moving on stat wise, let's go to the leading rushers from last week. You got the young buck from Terrasol. I'm not even going to butcher your name on here. I'm going to call you Double V. It is what it is. He had 111 yards. And then behind him, Casper Wedberg from Stockholm Mean Machines had 72 yards rushing. And again, I think I'm saying this guy's name, his last name wrong, but I'm calling him Anthony Thatch from Oslo Vikings, had 43 yards. Let's just say what it is. Double V had the most impressive game out of anybody in the league last week. And that's not even just talking about his rushing, but just talking about his rushing right now. The kid is fast. fast, explosive, and it's really hard to bring him down. And he looked really good in his first Super Serien game, and it was really good to see Tirso have that aspect that they could run, even if they didn't necessarily want to run. You kind of tell watching the game, running isn't what they wanted to do, but shoot, when you can, why not? And that's what he did. And Casper looked really good for Stockholm too. That's all I got to say about the Russians. What about you guys?
I would say that Double V was very impressive. You know, I think that he was so impressive because he was a surprise. We did not think anything about this guy. We owe an apology to a lot of people who are impact players. I guess we should say people to watch. But
hold on. You owe an apology. I'm not apologizing, guys. If I missed you, I missed you. Alpha apologizing.
Hey, whatever. Well,
I ain't doing no J. Cole out here, buddy.
Hey,
ain't no J. Cole in me, buddy. I ain't bringing it back.
At the end of the day, it comes down to this.
I said what I said.
At the end of the day, it comes down to like this. Like now we see guys, we have the eyes on people. Now we know who to call out. Some guys we didn't know sign. But back to this Russian game, though. Double V was very impressive. I just want to say one thing about Double V. Bro, you got to get some more swag out there. You probably need to reach out to Rare. You need to reach out to improve athletes. Get your socks going. Get them a little higher because you know what I mean? You got to look the part now that you're playing. Like, you missed 4 touchdowns in one game, maybe 5. I don't know. And you got to get some more. You know, you got Eddie over there. You know, you got to get some swag when you score. Celebrate. Look like you've been there. Like, look like it was easy. That's all I'm going to say. But other than that, man, my hat goes off to you, man. You did an amazing job. I'm very impressed.
Antoine, pile on.
Yeah, I just want to talk about Casper for a minute. He is definitely the piece that Stockholm needed to add to their running game. Like, he made a humongous difference. He gives them that running back dynamic. And it wasn't just him. Like, both their running backs did a good job. But Casper, you know, I think he was bullying his old team a little bit there, you know, with a couple breakaway runs, steamrolling a little bit. But, yeah, he had definitely an impactful game for them running the ball. So, yeah, that's definitely a new dynamic added to their offense from last year to this year.
Go ahead, tell us about them.
Yeah, we had 2 of the top receivers coming from Örebro. We had Anton Inkvist and Elliot Hamada, and then at number 3 we have Eddie from Tirso. So what stood out to me about Örebro's passing game was that they didn't want to target Johannes Lindius that much. He had a few catches and he had a few dynamic plays like that, but you could tell that Trevor was kind of trying to get the ball spread around to other playmakers. And the 2 top receivers, they made a difference. And they made an impact on the game. They didn't score a lot. That's why, for me, like, it's not always about scoring as a receiver, but it's always about catching the ball, getting your yards, and moving the ball. But Eddie's impact on the game was felt more on less yards and less targets, because he had 1 catch in the back of the end zone where he got his. You know, he did a little Mike Jackson in the back, right at the back of the end zone. It was just crazy. It was just a very impactful play, and like stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean. It doesn't always have to be. It wasn't always about Eddie, but he definitely made his presence felt, and it felt different. If you know what I mean, it felt different than watching the other 2 ahead of him.
For me, just throwing it out here, when we're doing these stats, we're just going off of yards, and this is one of those one of those weeks where yards doesn't necessarily tell a story. Because, I mean, I believe like Örebro had those were good receivers. I think one of them the guy, Anton, had 119 yards off of 7 catches, no tutties. Elliot had 86 off of like 4 or 5 catches, and he had 1 touch. And Johannes actually had 6 catches for 60-something yards and a touchdown, and should have had 2 touchdowns. I know he misses that ball that was right over his hands where he could have got it. He just jumped up too early. That would have gave him another 60 yards, and he'd be the guy we're talking about with 2 touchdowns and 120-something yards receiving. But, you know, that's, you know, hypothetical. It is what it is. But going to what you said about Eddie, you know, he made impactful catches. Bringing up my boy Matt Retzloff, that guy had 4 catches. 2 of them were touchdowns. So, I mean, like, who cares about having yards? You putting up points like that. Yeah. Same thing with another Stockholm Mean Machine receiver, Anton Blumgren. I want to say he had like 4 catches and 1 touchdown. No, he had 2 catches. One of them was a touchdown for 47 yards. So it's like
beautiful catch too.
Yards,
catch.
Bread basket. Good throw. Good throw.
Great throw.
Yeah, great throw. So again, these receivers, this first week, we're throwing out yards players, but again, we're watching everybody, and it was impressive that there was a lot of receivers really contributing from a lot of teams. A lot of teams were easily 3 receivers deep. Like just OBK, Tiraso, Stockholm Mean Machines, all three receivers deep. Where if you name all 3 top receivers, one has 4 catches, one has 6. Like that's the difference between 1 and 3 when it comes to targets and catches on these teams. So everybody's kind of spreading it around, which I know we're talking about receivers, but it kind of goes back to the quarterback play.
Yeah,
quarterbacks are really making sure everybody gets an opportunity to shine. So that's all I got about the receivers. Sorry for digressing. Alpha, nothing else?
Now, I was going to just only say, like, I was impressed with the receivers as well. The quarterbacks did a good job spreading the ball, mainly Stockholm, Tiraso, I think Brewer as well. I did follow the game of Oslo. The quick game was going on early in the game, but then I guess things got out of hand. But then towards the end of the game, we saw the American, get 2 touchdowns. We missed one of them from the field. But, receivers did well. I love seeing the celebration. Also, we forgot to mention that Tiraso also went for 2 a lot of times. So then they got those extra little catches in for some of the other guys that might go on the highlight tape. Yeah, I got another touchdown, but that's all I got to say.
Let's talk about tackles leaders. Antoine, you know who the tackle leaders are?
We got Marcus from Titaso. He had 8.5 total tackles. Then you have Tim from Stockholm. He had 6 tackles. And then Jette from Titaso. He had 6 tackles as well. But yeah, and then Victor from Titaso also had 6 tackles. But that lets you know that defensive front that we were talking about in Titaso, we said they were big, we said they were quick, we said they were fast and explosive off the ball and would make plays. And they have 3 defensive linemen in the top 2, really, because they're all tied with 6 tackles.
My question, because I still think it's crazy that people don't put last names on jerseys. Marcus Renmer, is that a D lineman?
I think so. I think he was number.
Is that 98? Then that's number 98. If that's the case, then that's who he is, number 98.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, number 90. Because what number is what's his name?
Malcolm Engstrom is 95.
95. Yeah. So Marcus was number 98, I think.
Yeah, those two always they kind of look alike on the field to me. No offense, guys. I don't know how much y'all actually look alike. I always get those two confused. So, like, I know if number 95 didn't make the play, number 98 make the play. Number 98 didn't make the play, number 95 made the play. I don't know, but they both was out there.
And don't forget about Jette. Jette was out there making plays.
Yeah, was out there too.
Yeah. He's on the other side, though. I mean, and he
stand out.
To Jette, but he plays on the. He play on the end, yeah, and I know what he looked like. It's very easy to know where he at. He also plays on the edge. The edge to me, you better be good, But playing inside, Engstrom and I guess Marcus is the number 95's name, or number 98's name. Again, I don't even know their numbers, but those interior linemen for Tiraso playing, 3 tech and nose tech, they putting in work in the trenches and still making plays. That's very hard. I'm a big fan of Aaron Donald, so I love those type of guys. No disrespect to Jette, but he out here doing this thing too. I expect him to do it. I'm glad he's keeping it up already. That's all I got about the tackles, guys. You guys, anything else you want to say about them?
No, man.
Jallo, let's move on to sacks leaders, man.
Yeah, so the sack leaders, Sebastian from Stockholm Mean Machines, very impressive with 2 sacks. Then 2 to 4, all tied. Tiraso, Malcolm Engstrom, Oslo Vikings, Thomas Sundby, and lastly, Örebro Black Knights, Sebastian Nilsson with 1 sack as well.
Just to jump in there about sacks, I think we kind of talked about it with the tackles. Like Tiraso's defensive line was really good. Stockholm Mean Machines were able to put up pressure with only 4 guys. Like they didn't blitz the whole game, and they were having Trevor Vasey run around. So sacks were going to be had. And it was just crazy. Honestly, the fact that we're looking at 5 total sacks just from the top 4 players, that's a lot of sacks considering like what we saw. But I think it's kind of is just tell you a little bit going into this league and this season that the defensive prowess is up in this league. I think defensive linemen might be a little bit better than the offensive linemen, which is how it goes in Europe, in my opinion, because no one wants to coach O linemen. So it's a lot harder to get good O linemen compared to good D linemen. And we're going to see these numbers rise as the season goes. But it's really interesting that Sebastian Diakity, Malcolm, Sebastian Nilsson, those are 3 defensive linemen, right?
Yeah.
Leading in sacks. Thomas Sundby from Oslo, that's a linebacker, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Wrong. I need to see their numbers. We don't have their numbers on.
He's number 60, and it says he's a defensive lineman.
Oh, he's the lineman. Oh,
yeah,
he's the one with the strip sack. He the one that.
Oh
he's number 60.
Hey, that was a good job. That was good awareness and athleticism as well. That he's able to pick it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of those guys, but oh my gosh, there's a fumble and miss it. You know.
Mm. But this is why we need names on the back of jerseys, guys. Because I'll be like, I know what number 60 is. I don't know who the hell Thomas Sundby is, but if I seen the name on a jersey, I'd be able to make the connection at least. Gosh, come on, man! Somebody give me some jerseys.
Right. I mean, this is semi-pro football. I mean, at least be somewhat professional. You know, I know Örebro actually.
Yeah, they have the name. They have names on the backs of their jerseys.
Örebro does. Okay.
Yeah, when I think even some southern teams might as well. I know when I was in Helsingborg, we was going to do that, but that's another topic. Anyways, though, going back to the sacks, I do want to give an apology to Sebastian for not having you as a preseason impact player, because you definitely are 100%. And I already know we mentioned Malcolm, but shout out to all the guys who got sacks and all the guys who got robbed of sacks as well.
Yeah, big shout out to Sebastian. Like if you think about his pace and his 2 sacks in that first game last year, the sacks leader of the league only had 3 sacks, and Sebastian's already setting the pace at 2 sacks this season. So if he can keep it up, he's looking at being definitely a defensive force, and then probably and hopefully the sack leader for the Super Series. And
he's definitely getting more sacks.
Let me throw this out here because y'all keep saying Sebastian, and what number is he?
Number 90. Yeah, 99. Yep.
Okay, there you go. See, if you give me the numbers, I'm watching the film.
Hey,
he's seeing no last names.
He's the one with color on the D line.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well, I remember seeing number 99 doing things, and that's just. I wish y'all put some last names on these damn jerseys.
I was going to do this. You know, with his hands.
Let's move on to interceptions leaders. You know, somebody in the past game. What names you got there, Jallo?
For interceptions, we have all 1 interceptions. From Örebro, we have Sewell Erikson. Number 2, we have Joshua Hips from Tyresö. And lastly, from Stockholm Mean Machines, we got Rodrigo Rucha. We call him Lil Ro in Stockholm. I butchered his last name, but you guys know exactly who I am. On the defense side of the ball, I think I mentioned this from Erikson. I was very impressed with the way that he came downhill for a small guy and to lay the wood on one play. He knows he felt that he took the best of it trying to tackle one of Stockholm's running back, but he was coming downhill. You know, I was very impressed with him. And one turnover from Örebro that I want to mention on the defense side of the ball. I'm used to seeing Eric Murphy on defense, and I forgot that that he was actually even going to play this year. I thought he was done playing football, but I'm used to seeing him being the playmaker on defense. Then, you know, Rodrigo Rowe got his interception at the end of the game, and Tyresö, 2-way player, Joshua Hicks, you know, should have had more than 1 interception in this game. He had one right there. Like that one, you know.
Pick 6. It was a pick 6. It was a pick 6, Josh. It was a pick 6.
That was a pick 6 right there. You know, we'd have been talking about that from the beginning. Then he had one tough one that was kind of hard to catch in the end zone. But, man, good job to the guys who got their hands on the ball on defense, you know. 4 turnovers.
For me, Sewan Erikson, man, he really stood out for OBK because first of all, like you said, he came downhill a couple times, made a couple tackles. Like, okay, look at the number 4. Again, numbers is what I'm watching, guys. Look at number 4 coming downhill, making plays, getting his hands dirty. And then I see him, and, you know, I got to say it, you know, he tried to stop Matt Resloff a couple times, and ain't no easy task. Ain't no easy task. And here's the thing: is on the first one, it was a fade back in the end zone. He in perfect position. Matt stacked him up, had plenty of room on the outside to catch the fade. Quarterback Renteria put it in the bucket. Nothing you can do about it. But there was a play in this game where Seawin is playing safety, and Matt Resloff is at slot receiver, and he's running a huge crossing route, like all the way across the field. And Erikson comes down from safety position at about 9-10 yards deep, matches up with him across the midfield, covers him, perfect trail position. And as Matthew Resloff gets towards the numbers, he decides to turn up the route. That can't be part of the play. I don't care what you say. That is not part of the play. You run across the route, the ball's supposed to be out. Well, the ball ain't out. He turns up. And as soon as he turns up, Renteria throws that thing. Yeah. And Erikson he turns up right with him. And he's right there. But the ball is a perfect throw. Resloff got perfect hands. And there's nothing Erikson can do about it. And it's like, if you're getting beat by the best in those situations, you only can go up from here. And from this first game, I expect this dude to have plenty of interceptions. He might be the interception leader this year because he has a knack for finding the ball, and he might be one of the leading tacklers on his team by the end of the year because he gets to the ball, he makes plays. So I was really impressed with him, even though I just pointed out 2 plays where he got beat. But again, it's the level of competition that he got beat by. I don't think he was going to play against any other receiver that good for the rest of the season, and I meant that.
See, well, he did. Erikson, I was impressed with him. You know what I mean? You win some, you lose some, but I love the energy of Sewell. I'm gonna say this again. He was coming downhill, and he looked like he wasn't blinking, and I was impressed with him just trying to be that type of guy because you don't see that so much. The defense side of the ball, as we mentioned, you're not seeing people flying around. You're gonna see Carlstad, they're gonna have some players flying around, but Erikson, he was trying to hit people. He wasn't being. Can't say the word on here, but he wasn't being that.
Yeah, he finished the game. He had 5 tackles that game, so he's technically in number 3 behind the other tackle leaders. His impact was definitely felt for them on the defensive side of the ball. So
yeah, let's move on to the last stat category, and I put XFactors because later in the season we'll be able to say actual XFactors. This week is mostly the guys who had the most all-purpose yards. In these games that we saw this first weekend, a lot of points were scored, a lot of yards, gained, but there were a couple of guys who did more than just their share on offense. They also did special teams duties. Double V, he had 209 all-purpose yards in this game because he ran the ball for 111, caught the ball for, I think, another 30 yards, and then had another he had an 89-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. So his all-purpose yards was 209. He really had an impact on this game. Then behind him was Casper Wedberg from Stockholm Machines, 161 all-purpose yards. Similar to Double V, he was in the run game and the pass game, and he caught a couple of kicks to get all those yards. Last guy on the list, Antoine Blumgren, the wide receiver from Stockholm Machine, 145 all-purpose yards. Like I said, he only had the 2 catches. One of them was for 47 yards, but he was the main punt returner for the team and also had a kickoff return for 50-something yards that, hey, one move here or there, and we'd be, he would have had an 80-yarder, for a touchdown himself. But these 3 guys, all 3 of them just impact players. In each game, you knew who these 3 guys were. And I'm going to call them like I see them. Number 22, number 30, and number 12. They all was out there balling. It was really good to see. You guys got anything you want to add about these playmakers?
Yeah, for Double V had 8 carries and 8 carries, 111.
What's the average?
13.9.
Ooh.
13.9 yards per carry.
Don't act like you did the math that fast,
bro. It's up from I had to do the little eye roll, look up, I'm thinking, let me see. He finished the day with 4 touchdowns. Crazy for your Super Series debut. Crazy for, what is he,
19 years old.
Come on, man. You playing against grown men because the age range in the Super Series, it varies, but you playing against grown men. and he's definitely a difference maker. 4 touchdowns on the day, crazy. Yo, that first kickoff return, bro, that had the field demoralizing to Oslo. They marched down the field. They marched down the field, had a beautiful drive, scored, put some points on the board, kickoff, house. Now he's just sitting there like, oh, well, there goes that league.
I said it in a group chat too, man. I was watching the game. I was watching it live. This is why I don't like watching the game live, because they Oslo scored. I was like, okay, Oslo first on the board. I get up to go get a little bit of tea. And I mean, like, my kitchen's right here. I take 2 steps, pour it into the water. And I come back and I see number 22 running in the end zone. I was like, what happened? Like, was that, did they already start offense? How fast are they doing kickoffs? And then I like rewind it because, got to rewind it, 2023, 2024 out here. You got to have the demand stuff. I rewind it. This dude catches the punt, the kickoff, and takes it back. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a long game. This is going to be one of them games where I got to sit here, watch everything that's happened, because you never know. Somebody going to make a big play. And he kept doing that in this game too. So, shout out to him. Great performance by Double V.
Did anybody notice Antoine Bluegram catch a punt return and runs down the sideline and get clothesline, man? I mean, he getting them all-purpose yards, you getting clothesline at the same time.
Yeah, and that's working hard for them yards. Yeah, working hard for them yards.
I'm very impressed with all the X Factor players. They deserve those stripes. It's good to see Casper go against his old team and dominate. Antoine said he put a beating on his old team.
Yeah, man, he did.
Just seeing a young guy, 19 years old, ball out the way he did in his first Super Series game. And Antoine Bloom did a good job being an all-purpose guy. This is what I always expected and always wanted from Antoine Bloom. Just go and call it how it is. When I played with him before, he had all this potential, but he didn't always execute the way that he should. He was fast. I'm pretty sure he was faster than me on the football team. You know what I mean? And I was pretty at my prime with my speed during that time and crazy flexible. But the point is, he's now dominating and being that type of guy. Seeing him return punts and kickoff returns when obviously they got Matthew Refslaw who can do this, and they got Denny John who can do this, but they got him back there. So I'm proud of Antoine's progress throughout the years, and he's being that guy.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I have to say something when you said it about, them having Matt Reslov and Denny John. Both of them dudes, they old head now. They old heads now. Like they taking them plays off, especially Denny. And Denny know what it is. He's like, nah, I'm doing that no more. I'm just going to play some defense.
He's not taking plays off on that sideline. You seen that pop he had on the sideline?
He out there for it, but he's like, I'm not doing all that extra stuff like I used to. He used to be out there. And Reslov, this dude, he out there. Look, if I catch the ball and be in the end zone, that's where you can find me. He caught 2 other balls. This has got nothing to do with what we're talking about, but Reslov caught 2 other balls. They both were like first down catches. He don't waste no time with his like touches. And to anyone who doesn't know, that's how he plays. He doesn't get 8 to 9 catches a game. He'll catch 4 balls. 2 or 3 will be for touchdowns. The other one will be for a first down, a big play when you didn't know that you needed it, but he showed up. And then he goes on about his business and start coaching. I don't think he played in the fourth quarter. I'm pretty sure he took himself out and just started coaching. Like, I got this locked up. And, it is what it is. This is going to be a tough podcast, guys, because I'm going to talk about Reslov every week. I don't care if they play it or not. You go hear about Matthew Reslov, best receiver in Europe. I said what I said.
Ooh.
Quick shout out to our partners at Rare Athletics, Apparel and Accessories, made for players, by players, more than just accessories. Rare provides custom jerseys to teams all over Europe. So make sure to head over to their web shop at rare.se and upgrade your drip today. So the Super Serien is back this week. This is week number 2. And we have 3 games on tap. Carlstad Crusaders versus the Ktown Predators, Stockholm Mean Machines versus Limhamn Griffins, and OOBK versus Oslo Vikings. And yes, these are the nicknames that you're going to hear from these teams from me for the whole season. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that word for the Predators. Ktown it is. And if you also...
Give us one try.
Go ahead, give it a shot. No, I know you got Go ahead. Give it to me.
No, we want to hear you say it so they can laugh at you.
Oh no, it's something like Carlstad or something. I don't know. I can't. It don't make no. It's Christian Stad. Christian Stad. That's how you say it. I don't want to hear it.
That was close.
And then you look at the word. It says Christian Stad, and then everybody says something like Kwanzaa. I'm like Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa. What man? Ktown.
You gotta put your Skåne accent on. Your Skåne.
I don't have one.
But it's all good.
But anyways, these games are going to be great. We're going to preview them a little bit, but we try not to do too much over analysis on the podcast. If you do want detailed previews of the game, head over to firstdownmag.com and read my in-depth analysis. Matter of fact, sign up for the website, firstdownmag.com, and you get those previews as soon as I write them. They publish them. You get a little notification, and you can go watch and find out all the little tits and bits about these games. But before that, listen to the podcast. We're going to talk about the matchups inside the matchups, starting with the first game. All right, let's start with the first game. Carlstad Crusaders versus the Ktown Predators. Jalo Juice, what's a matchup in this that you're looking forward to?
I want to see directly if Carlstad is going to just manhandle this new team into the Super Series, or are they going to allow this first game for both teams to allow an even playing field? For the Predators, I definitely want to see what young talent or what talent they have on their team is going to help them dominate the game so we can move forward and identify the best players on their team. I really think it's going to come down to how the quarterback play for both teams. What
about you, Antoine? What do you want to see in this game?
Kind of piggybacking off of what Jalo just said, I'm really curious to see how well Carlstad's offense does this year, especially see if they can put more points up on the board than we did last year, because I played for the team last year. So last year we didn't put a lot of points up on the board. So I really want to see if their offense made any strides forward, and to see if they can put up points this season. And then for Kristianstad, I really want to see how Myron Norfleet does against a good defense like Carlstad has. So to me, it's Carlstad's offense versus Kristianstad's defense, and then Myron versus the defense of Carlstad and in the Super Series in general.
I don't have much thought or care about Ktown Predators. No offense. They didn't even win the division. Like, you didn't win Division 1 and you out here thinking you can, compete with Super Serien. And I don't know much about the team except for what you guys tell me about, they're from the South. That means they have talent, blah, blah, blah. Talent don't mean nothing in Super Serien. You got to have a whole bunch of it. I know Carlstad got it. They got it every year. And now they got one of the best young receivers in the game, Christian Naughton, out there catching balls. I expect them to roll through the Predators very easily. But the matchup I am interested in seeing is really the resolve of the Predators, the culture of the Predators versus the efficiency of the Crusaders. The Crusaders have already played a preseason game. They did like a scrimmage against a Norwegian team. I think it was the Oslo Vikings before the season. So they're fine-tuning things going into this matchup, even though they didn't play in week 1. While the Predators, there's been a lot of rumors about what's happening and what's not happening over there. And now we actually get to see, is this team going to be able to play under the bright lights of the Super Serien? I don't want to get too much into my pick, but, I expect wholeheartedly that the Crusaders are going to do what they want. And the Predators, it's really just going to see how they respond to this. Is this going to be a game where, Crusaders come out, put it on them, and they lay down, or Crusaders come out, put it on them, and they make them fight for everything anyways? And I think that's really what they're going to get out of this game. This first game is we're going to see, is this going to be a team that can knock a couple teams off, that can catch you slipping, or is going to be a team that they just happy to be here in the Super Serien? And I think that's the matchup to see, is what kind of team are the Ktown Predators. I don't know why I want to say Ktown Beast. Maybe I'm gonna change their name to the Ktown Beast, because they have the little beast looking logo too.
Don't change it. Don't change it so far. Yeah, nah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, how you gonna be the predator? You know, in this situation, I would call them the prey, right? You know, throw it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna get prayed by the Crusaders.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. But let's move on to the next game. Second game we got on tap. This one I think is a little bit more interesting than the first one. Stockholm Mean Machines versus the Limhamn Griffins. Champions versus champions, you know, 2023 Super Serien, 2023 D1. A game that's deservedly a game in the Super Serien. Antoine, you lead us off on this one. What's your matchup inside the game?
I think the matchup for this game is going to be the same as last week. I really want to see how the Limham's DBs compete against Stockholm's receivers. Like we just said, like the receivers, the ball gets spread around to multiple guys. They're not going to have 8 to 10 catches, but they are going to be in the end zone. They are going to put points on the board. So I just want to see how well the Limham's defensive backs compete against the wide receivers. So really, it's just offense versus defense. And honestly, the way Stockholm played in week 1, I just think their offense is going to be like a hot knife through butter. Just slice those boys up.
Through butter, hot knife through butter. What about you, Jallo?
Yeah, I'm excited to see Limhamn play in the Super Series. Yeah, as you said, they deserve to be here. But here's the thing: we want to know if these teams such as Carlstad and Limhamn can compete. You know, we want to see what playmakers they have. We understand, historically speaking, and most people in Sweden can say that in the South they do have talent. We know that Limhamn have skilled players, and I would say that in this matchup, I would really like to see how Limhamn offense can take advantage from watching Stockholm's film, from having a week off, and seeing how they can dissect this and come up with a good game plan. And I'll be honest, Stockholm DBs were not very impressive. When I mean by DBs, the cornerback play. I do think that some of their players were on the sideline, they didn't play. Who knows? We're going to see this week when they play against Limhamn. But I think that if I'm another team such as Limhamn or other teams in the future, I will circle up like, okay, these DBs aren't really good. This is how we stay in the game. But I also will circle the D line for Stockholm and say, look, hey, we may not be able to run the ball, but we definitely can pass the ball. So I want to see if Limhamn can take advantage of that situation. And the keys for Limhamn to be successful is that, but also, hey, slow down Matthew Resloff if you can.
Y'all out here playing with this game. That's cool. That's cool. Y'all can play with it if y'all want to. Look, I am thoroughly thrilled that Limhamn is in the Super Series and they getting a chance. But this ain't what they want. Like, I mean, I'm not saying they don't deserve to be in the league and they ain't gonna be able to compete with some teams, but this ain't the team. The Mean Machines ain't the ones to be. That's not how you want to get your feet wet. You know, that's like, okay, you ain't ever swam before. I'm gonna throw you in the deep end, and you better learn how to swim. Good luck. People say that shit work, but it don't. I've seen a lot of kids drown trying to do that. That's why you gotta have a lifeguard on duty. That don't work. And this ain't what they want for week 1, like for their first game. Man, that's tough scheduling. I think in this matchup, it goes back to what Antoine said. You know, can you guard the receivers? No. But like what Jallo said as well, a good game plan, maybe you can limit them. And I'm gonna try to be a little different because I still think every week we're not gonna find a defense that can guard the receivers from Stockholm Mean Machines. Like there's no full defense that can do it because you just don't have that many players on the defensive side unless you think you have the best defense in the league. Which even if you do, it's not. It's just not possible. They're the best receivers in the league. But I do think in this game, what's really going to tell the tale is Casper Wedberg versus the Limhamn Griffins. Because from what I saw Stockholm Mean Machines do last week, they really focused on getting number 30 the ball. Whether it was the run game or the pass game, he was the driving force of their offensive attack. Their receivers were successful because they're better than everybody. So every time they threw the ball, you know, it was a good thing. And their quarterback was able to do things with his arm and his legs because he's a good player. But scheme-wise, number 30 is where they were trying to get the ball. He had a very good game, but he didn't have a monster game. And in my opinion, it's all about making sure that this guy has a monster season for them. I don't know what they told him in when he came over to sign. They're like, "Hey man, we're gonna get you 2,000 yards or something," but they're making sure that Casper Westberg is the central force of this offense, and the Griffins are gonna have to stop him before they do anything. Before they even start thinking about the receivers, they have to stop him, because if they try to stop all the receivers and just let number 30 run free, he's gonna get a whole bunch of yards. Then all of a sudden they're gonna roll in number 29, Oliver Stewart. And then he's gonna get a whole bunch of yards. And then we're gonna be like, hold on, they can run the ball too. And then the whole league gonna be on notice, which they should already be. So I think for the Griffins to really have any success in this game, stop the run game. Don't let that get started, so that that's not something that people are like fearing going into the season. And if they pass and beat you with the pass, it's expected. You expect them to beat you with that receiving core, but don't let this run game just go through you, hot knife through butter. We don't want that to happen. So try to make it through that. But that's my thoughts on this game. Let's move on. Game number 3. I like to call this the real game of the week. Orville Black Knights, OBK versus Oslo Vikings. Like, I'm gonna lead off on this matchup inside the matchup. I don't know which defense is gonna be able to stop the other offense. I think it's both sides. I think both offenses can score. And if we look at last week, both offenses scored. Well, one of them scored 30, one of them scored 18. Different defenses. But ultimately, I think that both of these defenses are on the low end versus the offenses. So whichever defense is able to make plays, create turnovers, slow down the other offense, their team is going to win, because both teams are going to score. This is one of those games that it'll be 42-37. It's going to be a high-scoring game because neither defense is great, but also neither offense is bad enough that they can't move the ball. So it's going to be the matchup, I would say, is both teams' defenses trying to stop the other team's offenses. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we saw that Oslo could run the ball. We did not see that Örebro can run the ball. But I really think that obviously the players are playing, but I really think in this matchup is going to come down to coaching and game planning. And I would leave it simple as that.
Antoine, what about you?
There's not really much to add to what you guys both said. I mean, I just think it comes down to team versus team, who can benefit from the film that they receive from the other team. Both teams can score. Obviously, we saw that in week 1. I think Örebro will have their defense will have a harder time, just in my opinion. But it all boils down to team versus team. Simple as that.
I feel like I want to add some more because I want to, so I will. But also, both of these offensive lines, they got a lot to prove. Because in my opinion, these are the two teams where the quarterbacks are just running around a lot. In Oslo, when they were successful, quarterback, set up, threw the ball on time, and things went well. As soon as they had to get a lot of yards and he had to do, 3 or 5 step drops, he was under pressure. Not same thing, almost the opposite thing in Örebro, where when they said hut, he was under pressure. Like, that's how it was the whole game. And both of these offensive lines had nothing for the defense they played. Now, again, both of these defenses aren't as good as what these offenses saw last week. So we expect the offenses to be better and be able to put up points. But I'm still not, 100% convinced that the Örebro offensive line can block anybody, or that the Vikings offensive line can block the Örebro's defensive line. I still think the Örebro's defensive line is really good and was competitive, but I didn't see anything from the Örebro's offensive line. So I want to change my answer to the matchup is lineman play, offense and defense for both teams. Can I do that? Can I change my change? Yeah, I'm changing that.
That's you just did it.
I just did it. That's how I go. Any last thoughts on this matchup before we get out of here?
Receivers play for Oslo. The quarterback gets the ball out very quickly, and I noticed a few drops because of how fast he's throwing the ball. So the receivers have to be on alert and ready to catch the ball when it comes out, because your quarterback, he gets the ball out very quickly. That was the first thing the commentator said. And on the first play of the game, you saw exactly what they were saying. He got the ball out in the blink of an eye. I didn't even see where the ball went. I was like, wait, the ball's gone already. So just be ready to catch the ball so that your quarterback can get that completion percentage up. Because I think he threw like 53% last week.
But he's left-handed.
I know.
You still
That's what it is. That's why they dropping it. That ball come out spinning the opposite way. Like, hold up, what side of the world we on? What's going on here? You go, this is Australia. You go the toilet swirl the other way. It sounds like you're from London. We're driving on the left side of the road, guy. This guy, little lefty out there slinging it. Unrelated. I think the quarterback from Carlstad is left-handed too.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
we might have two left-handed quarterbacks, but I guess that's it for this game. Let's move on.
Drip, grind, and stand out. That's the Improved Athletes way. Improved Athletes, a European sports brand based in Milano. If you want to look good and be successful in athletics, go and head over to improveathletes.com to stand out with your new drip.
So, picking winners of games is not easy, but we're going to put our picks out here anyways. Brought to you by our partners at Improved Athletes, where you grind, drip, and stand out. Our picks will be developed at Pro Sweden, where you can make all your comments. No need to flood the DMs. You got something to say, write in the comment. Let us get in the algorithm. So, get into the first game.
I'm going with Carlstad Crusaders. And the reason why I'm going with Carlstad Crusaders because they've proven to be here. As we said, Ktown don't deserve to be here outright. So I'm going with Carlstad Crusaders. Based off that, I believe that Carlstad is just going to dominate this game. And they better, because I'm saying it. Make my words true.
What about you, Antoine? Who you got and why?
Same. I mean, I have a really strong feeling that Casper will go winless this season. I don't know why. It's just a feeling that I have. So I'm going to pick Carlstad. I mean, they're playing at home. Casper has to travel from the south all the way up to Carlstad. It should be about 8 hours. So, yeah, Carlstad.
They really got to travel 8 hours?
I think so. I think it's like 8 hours by bus.
Oslo only has to travel like 5 for their game. I looked that up earlier. That's crazy. Anyways, my pick, obviously, I'm going with the Crusaders. I am not going with Ktown in this game. More like what Alpha said. They haven't proven they actually deserve to be in the league, so I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt unless they prove something to me. Just want to throw this out here too. Carlstad Crusaders. I always like their organization. If you're from Carlstad Crusaders and you're watching this, you see me wearing this Royal Crowns hoodie, right? I would love to support your team, but you got to send me something. So if you want to send me something, just send me a message. I'll give you my shipping information, and I can rock with you guys. Y'all know I've always been a fan of Carlstad. I can't go all the way out there. It's a long way away. And secondly, I don't got no gear. Send me some gear, guys. I was in Carlstad a couple months ago and didn't get no gear. Next time, I don't know if I'm ever going back to Carlstad, but send me some gear and I can support you online, So somebody send me some gear. Next game, we have Stockholm Mean Machines versus Limhamn Griffins. Antoine, who you got and why?
Man, ain't no secret who I got. It's Stockholm Mean Machines. As simple as that. They're the best team in the league. And Limhamn, this is their first game in the Super Series. So we'll see how they match up, but I don't think it's going to be very well, honestly.
You, Jallo?
Straight to the point, Stockholm is winning this game, but I do think that Limhamn will surprise us. And I wouldn't be surprised if Limhamn scores in the first couple drives. I think they're going to have some type of game plan. If they don't, it's going to be a long day for you guys. Long day.
Obviously, I'm going with the Mean Machines as well. I actually need some more Mean Machine gear as well. I only have like a T-shirt from Mean Machine. But to be honest, if you're from the Mean Machines, you're watching this, y'all's like fan gear it needs some work. So once y'all get some better gear, I'll ask for some. But right now, I'm cool on that front.
I mean, the thing is, the fan gear may be a little trash, but the coaching gear, you see them on the sideline.
Oh, true.
Like, you want the coaching gear. I was like,
You're
hold
right.
up,
You're right.
coach look fit, look
Yeah.
smooth. Peel
Let
back,
me get one of them vests. Let me get
Yeah.
one of them vests that says, what it say? Litigate? I don't know how to say coach, but
Yeah,
it say
the coach.
Yeah, say coach in the back. I don't need
Yeah.
coach on the back, but the one of them little vests, little blue vests, they're nice. We get
Yeah.
some of that gear for sure. With this game, I think since we all kind of going for Stockholm as usual, we kind of have them as a favorite. Let's throw out some scores, man, against the Griffins. Let's throw out a score. What you got?
63-14.
63-14. Jallo, what you got?
I'm gonna say 42-12.
42-12. I'm gonna say 49-12. I feel like 12 is a good number because I don't think I get the extra point. No, 49-13. That way I don't have so close to.
They get one extra point.
Yeah, they make one and they miss one, or they make one. No, maybe they miss one and then they go for two. Nah, they make one and they miss one. That's it. Last game of the week, the real game.
I think this is a tough matchup. This is the game, because Oslo still. I don't want to put Oslo in the category as like they one of those lower teams. I still have respect for them at the moment. However, if they fumble too many bags, it's going to be that type of situation. So, in this game right now, I want to say that Örebro will win this game, but it will not be by very much. I do think that it will be a high-scoring game, but I think it will be a tight matchup, and it could come down to the battle. If Oslo do surprise and win this game, so be it. I think it's going to be a tough game to pick, but I'm going with Örebro Black Knights for this game.
What about you, Antoine?
I'm gonna go Oslo. I'm gonna go
What?
Oslo.
What? After what game? Jeez, hold on. Before the season, this guy had Oslo at like 8 or something or 7 on the league. He was like, I ain't never seen nothing from him.
Exactly. I was like,
he's one game. And he's like, I'm with the squad.
Hold on. No. Listen here.
Go ahead and say something, because I want to say something after you say something, Antoine. I want to say something. So go ahead.
Yeah, so prior to the season, I was like, I don't know anything about Oslo. I haven't seen them play. After last week, watching them play against Tidasö, which we all agree is the number 2 team in the Super Series, they proved that they can put up points. They on an opening drive, they proved that this moment is not too big. They were very composed. They drove the ball down the field and they put points on the board. It just so happened that they were facing the Tidasö Royal Crowns, where,
just a lot of talent.
Yeah, just more talent. I think they're on the same level as Örebro, and we have them ranked number 4. I just think they played slightly better. They play more in control of the game and in several moments, more moments than Örebro did. They showed me that they can put up points late in the game too. So they didn't score in the third quarter, but they put up 16 points in the fourth quarter. So even if Örebro gets a lead, I have confidence that Oslo can keep their composure and come back and put up points on the board late in the game. So Oslo. You picked Oslo last week, and you out here wearing Tidasö Royal Crown stuff.
Don't be calling me on my stuff.
Just saying.
Hey, you almost convinced me to flip my pick just now.
He made a really good point. He made a really good point.
Yeah, but this is what I also would say. One, Oslo, they got their American receiver involved in the game way too late. I was thinking, where was he in the first half of the game? Like, were they trying to prove a point, like how some teams like to do? Like, oh, well, you just got here or something like this. We got to wait our turn. Bro, you got to win the football game at the end of the day. So I don't know what that situation was. We don't have insiders.
Can I throw in something about that real quick? Sorry, I like where you're going with that. I just want to throw in a little bit about that. I think that Oslo was playing more of a system than a personnel offense. And his position in the offense wasn't where he could get open and be a central force. And then later in the game, they started saying, hey, we're going to get him the ball. And that's one of those things that when a team believes in their system, and we saw in that first drive, system is fine. And their American import never touched the ball in that first drive, but the system was fine. So they stayed with it. That's one of those things that you have to really figure out throughout the season.
I didn't see him existing in the first half of the football game. I didn't know they had an import receiver.
He's a slot receiver, and they didn't get him the ball. And they got the ball to other guys who didn't make plays. Like their big receiver is the number 13. I can't remember his name right now, but he was on the outside and he had 2 drops early in the game.
Yeah.
On very easy routes. Yeah. And these are plays where they're literally trying to get him the ball. They didn't do that with the American. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that he's more part of the team than a standout player. So they have him playing in the system. Like when they call their plays, they don't call their plays for a certain person. They call it for the system. And that's how some players, especially if you're playing slot receiver, you can get lost in the defense, in the offense, especially if the defense is covering him. Like if the defense is playing regular and he's running a normal, like, he's running a crosser route and the defense has that covered, quarterback has to go somewhere with the ball and he's just not in the play anymore. Instead of, going in and saying, okay, they're going to cover the crosser. We're going to move you to this, or we're going to change your route to this. They didn't do that. They just kept playing their system. And I think that's why we didn't really see their American, have an impact. Sorry, I just want to throw that in there because that was a really interesting point that you saw that as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that to say that, Oslo, they don't have the same power as Stockholm, but they can try to emulate Stockholm's offensive game plan because they have enough weapons. They have number 9, they have 13, and they have the American receiver and maybe another one. And they was able
number
to
three. Number 3 was a really good receiver. He had 2 touchdowns for him.
That's the American.
Yeah, that's
no, number 9 was the American. I thought number 9 was the American.
I'm not sure. And there's a single digit number. I'm not going to get into that, but they have some playmakers on offense, at least 3 that can catch the ball and they can run the ball, and the quarterback is able to move the ball. So they have potential to continue to make this a high-scoring game as we predict. And also to mention, being on Instagram, I saw that I think it's Edvin is his name, number 23 for Örebro. He may not be suiting up next week. He said he got to get an MRI, so I don't know if he's going to be healthy for next game. But that can be a factor into Oslo being able to run the ball. So I'm almost convinced of flipping my pick, but I'm going to stick with Örebro, just to stick with Örebro for this game.
Okay, so I haven't made mine. One of y'all got Örebro, one of y'all got Oslo. Been known to pick Oslo in the past. I'm going with OOBK. First, I like to say, don't worry about what I'm wearing out here on the show. They ain't got nothing to do with nobody. Secondly, all right, last week I did choose the Vikings versus Tyresö. I was wrong. I was trying to inspire them. I'm not apologizing. I will never apologize. I was trying to inspire them to play up to the level. Who I pick doesn't matter, obviously. But I can't tell you this one thing. I ain't no J. Cole out here. I ain't no sucker. Last week, I picked the Vikings. They didn't rise to the challenge. Fool me once, shame on you. You don't fool me again. I'm not falling for it. I think really going into this game, one thing that we're really confusing when we say that, okay, both of these teams played like this against a team they played last week. The team that the Vikings played was the most talented team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down, position by position, all the way around. If you did some type of mathematical statistic, Tyresö, the most talented. Not the best team, the most talented team. And you saw that in the game where there was moments where it was like, they're playing against a little league team out here. They're just crushing the Vikings. And then you saw other moments, you're like, oh, the Vikings got a little something going. No, they don't really have a little something going. What's happening is that Tyresö, when they didn't do what they were supposed to, or they had letdowns, which Tyresö does historically as a team, is they play inconsistent. In that game, they played inconsistent. But when they needed to turn it on, they needed to, say, hey, we're going to win this game. It was never a problem for them. They didn't have any troubles. It wasn't hard. What was difficult for them was doing that consistently. Now, that's not to say that if they played against a different team, they wouldn't be able to do it consistently. But if we judge the Vikings off of that game and say, oh, well, they scored all these points, they did this, they did that. Yes, they did, but it had a lot to do with who they're playing. And then we look at the Black Knights and we say the same thing. Oh, they couldn't score points, but they were playing the Mean Machine. Now, the difference between the Mean Machine and Tyresö is that the Mean Machine are a much more consistent team. What you saw in the game was very consistent from them on both sides of the ball. Even them giving up points was, they gave up points. They gave up yards the entire game, and they always made the stops when they needed to. A couple times they gave up touchdowns. That's football. but it wasn't a situation where they gave up, a 14-point lead and let them back in it. It was going back and forth until halftime, and then they put the clamps on them because they progressed throughout the game. That's what you get from Stockholm. That's what the Black Knights went up against, which was a better team than what the Vikings went up against. When they play each other, they don't play those two teams. It's two really good teams playing against each other, but Örebro has closer to the talent level of Tyresö than the Vikings have to the talent level of the Mean Machines. So therefore, you're playing a better team in Örebro than you are in the Vikings. I don't believe the Vikings have the talent to match up one-on-one in situations. This is going to be a game that comes down to, this player or that player if it went the other way. Out of these two teams, I'm leaning towards the Örebro Swedish guys making the plays that need to be made over the Oslo Norwegian guys being in the right vicinity and not quite making the play. Seeing that receiver drop those two passes early in the game, and then later he caught like a 30, 40-yarder downfield. That's too late, though. It's good, but it's too late. And that's what the Vikings are going to give you. They're going to give you good, but too late. Good, but not good enough. Look at OBK. Those three receivers are going to have a field day, straight up. Their receiver's going to have a field day. And if they're smart, they actually put the young Lindas back at receiver, and he's going to come out there and show out. The Vikings don't have nothing for it. They have a linebacker who has to get to the quarterback to make the play. The Örebro Black Knights have a running back who can help block, and they can still get it to their other receivers. It's just a little bit more from Örebro for me, and that's why I'm picking them to win this game. I would even throw out a score. I'll give you a score, 42-37. Like, they both going to get their points, but it's going to come down like, one play here, one play there. I'm not going with the team that hasn't shown they can rise to that occasion. Look at all the – again – okay, now I'm getting too ahead of myself, but I have a lot of evidence of the Vikings, playing games that are close and then they don't win internationally. And that's kind of been the whole bag against the Swedish teams is they've had games where they're in there, they're competing. That's what we saw from them last week. They were in there, they're competing, but they weren't able to win it. I think against OBK, that's what we're going to see. They're going to be in the game, but they're not going to win it. I expect them to play them close, but they're not going to win it. So I got to go OBK. And again, I don't have any Örebro gear either. I would love some Örebro gear. I love that black and red, like that whole thing. I would love to get like a black shirt with the like Knights logo or something on there. So if you're in Örebro, holla at me, send me a DM, ship it this way. You know what? I'll come to Örebro. I said it. I'll come to Örebro. I've heard nothing but great things. I'll come out there and get a shirt or something.
They got decent kebabs over there, but Carlstad has the best kebab. Yeah. I'm not going to Carlstad. I'll come to Örebro. So, if somebody wants to, meet up, I'll make a trip out there. But that's my picks. Any last words on this last game? Man, I feel like I went too long, but I had to. The only thing I was going to say, I think it might be an overtime game.
I don't see Örebro scoring more than 28 points. I don't see it. I don't see it. They're not going to score more than 28 points all season. Except for like when they're playing the Predators.
See, I feel like you're thinking about their offense in a vacuum. You're not thinking about who they're playing. You're talking about a team that just gave up 56 points.
And you're talking about a team that gave up 37 points.
What they got to do with them scoring 30 points? Like, again.
Look, we can agree again. I'm just going to be the only one.
You're talking about Örebro offense like it didn't put up 300-some yards offense. They were number one passing offense in the league. They just didn't run the ball. But imagine if they're able to run the ball, which they will be able to do against this team.
They put up 324 pass yards on 42 passing attempts. They couldn't run the ball.
Against the best team in the league. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, that line isn't going to get that much better from week 1 to week 2.
Touche.
You still got to block somebody.
Touche. But ask the Tyresö Royal Crowns how much pressure they got from the Vikings defensive line.
I'm just saying.
0. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Again, two evenly matched teams. I think we can agree on that. I think they're close.
If Oslo wants to make it to the playoffs and they want to steal one of these first 4 games against all the prior Super Series teams, this is the game that they can steal.
100%.
This is the game.
This is the game.
This one, and maybe Carlstad.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, depend. Yeah, I have to watch the game.
We got to watch Carlstad this week to see
but
if we
this,
can do
but
that.
this is the game that they can steal.
You're definitely right. This is the game they can steal, and I would like to hedge my bet on this one and say that if I pick against the Vikings and they win, that I inspired them to win by picking against them. You need somebody to hate. You can hate me if that's what you need. I mean, it worked for the Royal Crowns, didn't it? Picked against them, they got the dub. If that's how it got to be, that's how it's got to be. But also, if the team I pick wins, then I picked the right team.
Yeah.
I'm here for the dubs.
All right.
Hey there, sports fans. Are you interested in exciting sports of American football, flag football, or field hockey? Well, look no further, because Suite 3, the Swedish association for these sports, has got you covered. Suite 3 is not just about games. They're about building a community, players of all ages and backgrounds coming together, supporting each other, and having an absolute blast on the field. Suite 3 is proud to be an advocate for the Swedish sports movement, where integrity and sportsmanship reign supreme. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, come join Suite 3 and experience the magic of sports like never before. Visit the Suite 3 website and get in on the action today. Suite 3, where passion meets purpose.
Sorry, it was a little long. It was our first time doing this format after week 1, but we'll work on it, keeping it a little tighter next time. Any last words before we get out of here, guys?
Yeah, last words that I had that I just want to talk about quickly of the officiation. And it's officiation in Sweden for safety. There was 2 plays. One was a controversial play. Well, actually, it was a controversial. You can't be hitting other players. However, no old linemen, they're always taught to protect their quarterback. So if there's a player, for example, what happened in Stockholm versus Örebro game, where the quarterback is trying to get up and the other player is doing something to hurt another player, the referee, you see it right in front of your face. Please help these players be safe. Throw the flag immediately. You can't be waiting 20 seconds later or say, hey, was that a flag? Or should we have thrown a flag and throw a flag later? Like, you got to protect the players again, because I don't think that I think it was Marcel, maybe, or his brother Adam came over there and hit the other player because the referee did do nothing about it. It's almost like you're allowing someone to do something. So that's all I want to say. Then the last one, man, Eddie fumbled the ball. Referees, stop blowing the whistle too early at this point.
It was a fumble. Agreed. It was a fumble. He caught it, took 3 steps. Defender knocked it out, punched it out. That's a fumble, man.
The problem is the referees get so whistle happy. It's so often where it's like they don't know and they just want to blow the whistle. It's like it's better if you sometimes blow the whistle late and let the play go through versus like, oh, he tipped the ball, he's about to drop it, blow the whistle. Oh, then he catch it. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah, that was I'm pretty sure when they watched that replay back, they was like, yeah, because that was a fumble. Because he caught the ball, took his steps, and Eddie does this thing where he catches the ball first, and then he'll run like this a little bit before he tuck the ball. So he was in the process of tucking the ball, and then the ball got punched out. Definitely a fumble.
Yeah, he took like 3 steps. It was like traveling in basketball. That was obviously a fumble. And I wish I knew who it was that punched it out, because that was a really good heads-up play. And in my opinion, I don't remember what the score was at that time, but that was one of those plays that probably could have changed the way the game went, because the Vikings didn't have a lot of turnovers. When they had that strip sack, that's when they had a moment in the game where it went from being 28 to 7, and then next thing you know, they drive down the field, score, get a strip sack. Now it's 28 to 21. And like, okay, they're in the game. Same thing could have happened if they get that fumble and they turn that into a score. Now you're a little bit closer, and you're like, okay, we have a chance. It changes how they pick their plays from that point on, changes how Tiraso plays them from that point on. It has huge butterfly effect that you don't want the referees of all people to be controlling the game from that aspect. Sorry to chime on there. Antoine, you got any last words?
Yeah, Oslo, don't let me down this weekend, man. Look, these 2 guys, I picked you. I'm on your side now. I didn't know before. Now I know. So if you want me to stay on your side, you need to win this game.
That's exciting that Oslo got a fan. They got themselves a fan last week. I've always been a fan, and I'm gonna make this out to Oslo now. I don't have any Oslo gear either. Look, I'm here for it, Sweden. Send me some gear, and I represent teams. Check me out at Perfect Purpose on the gram. I represent. I'm out here. I'm for it. I'm for the culture. but I need to get some gear so I can be for the culture. I don't need any more hats because I pretty much got like all the Finland team hats. So I'm gonna try to go like hoodies or t-shirts for the Swedish team so y'all can just see me out here wearing that stuff. I will wear it, I promise you. I love like graphic gear. So send me some of that stuff. We'll keep watching. Good luck to everybody that's playing this weekend. We'll be back next week with more insights and opinions. Please like, follow, subscribe on all social media channels at Pro Football Sweden, and we will see you next week.